Hello everyone, it's Brenda from Creative Treats. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm here for another Boxes with Brenda video. Today we're making boxes that are sized perfectly to hold these handmade washcloths. A friend of mine's mom, June, made those for us, and those are all getting donated over to the women at different women's shelters here in Ottawa, Nelson House and a few others, and they are part of the Galentine's Day packages that we're putting together for them. There are a few other videos if you're interested in seeing some of the other things that are going into those packages, but today we are working on these. The size of these treat boxes are, for the most part, 4¼ by 5½. That's the bottom, and the top is 1/8 of an inch bigger, and they're 1 inch deep. One of the reasons that I made them sized at this is actually because, and all the dimensions, I need to make a correction in that, so I'm going to move this to here. So I'm not showing up a wrong one. This is the bottom, and I'm going to make a correction before I upload this video to Creative Treats community Facebook group. You can download the PDF from there and it will have all the right instructions for scoring and cutting and all that kind of thing. So the reason that I wanted to make it sized at 4¼ and the bottom is, or at the top, as I say, is 1/8 of an inch bigger than that, is I wanted to use the card bases that I got in a recent paper pumpkin kit. This here is the stamp set that came with that, which is really cute, and this was the card kit itself, and it had two different size or styles of card bases, and you'll see that this is the box that I made. I cut it down and used it to make this, cover up this pretty box here that is, as I say, perfectly sized to hold these lovely washcloths that June knit for us to donate. Yeah, so I wanted it at 4¼ so that I could put it on the top here. And then what you do is you have to use the full card to cover it, but you use that, and then one strip will go here, and then you'll need some more of this one to go on the other edges. And yeah, that is what I wanted to say about that. And here's a little card that I made to go inside. Now I want to talk about how these go together. They are a double-walled box, so we are going to be folding these in and make that double-walled, and then these little flaps here are going to stick here onto this second piece of tape, and then we can fold it over and adhere it with that, and then there is tape right here as well. And the instructions, you'll see how the shape of that corresponds, not proportionally, but from a 5 by 5 grid of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, how everything is sized and scored. So we'll put that in there like that. Now, the reason we put 2 strips here, because here we only needed 1 to hold them into place, why we needed 2 here is, I'm just going to peel this up and show you, because when these tabs here fold in, what we need them to do is to kind of keep in place and not flop around all over the place. So we'll just get that like that. So we try to make it square, and then we gently tap that into place right there, and then we do the same on this side. We square that up as best we can and tap that in, and then we should be able to fold this over like that, and then we repeat the same process here on the other side. And just get this one done, and then I can talk a little bit more. It's a little bit hard to assemble this and talk at the same time. There we go, and then we can decorate this on the top. I'll do that off camera. I wanted to show you a couple of others that I made. This here is making another nice, using another nice Stampin' Up paper. This, I can't quite remember the name, has hydrangea. Sorry about my bad pronunciation in those. Maybe that's why I don't ever grow this kind of flower, because I can't pronounce it properly, but it is beautiful. And then this was another that my friend Elaine gave me, that paper, and that was, I think, just from the dollar store actually, so it is pretty nice, and I have little cards to go along with those as well that I'm going to tuck inside the boxes to have a little words of encouragement for the ladies who are going to be receiving these for a Galentine's Day package. It's a good day to give some ladies at the women's shelter something, ladies celebrating ladies, so that is a very good thing. What else did I want to mention to you? Right, so for the scoring, okay, there's two things that I wanted to mention. When you make these boxes, you need the bottom to be sized at 1/8 of an inch smaller than the top. And then they fit together nice and snugly, but they don't break apart. So there's two ways that you can do that. You can either size the paper 1/8 of an inch bigger in each direction. And this instruction sheet is going to have both of these options in it. So one is sized for the bottom, which is cut at 8 1/4 by 8 1/2, and then the top is sized at 8 3/8 by 8 5/8. The other way that you could do that is you could actually still make the top sized. Did I say the bottom was sized at that? I meant the top was sized 1/8 of an inch bigger, which is 8 3/8 by 8 5/8. Or you could use the same size as the bottom, and when you score, shift it in by 1/16 of an inch on each side. And what I'm going to talk about, I'm not going to actually do the scoring of a full one, but I am going to bring out my scoreboard here for a minute and just explain to you what I mean by that. So when I score these, this is the top, and in this particular case, I made the paper 1/8 of an inch bigger. So then I still need to do my scoring at 1 inch and 2 inches, as is shown right there in the directions. And rather than moving it over here, I always just turn and I score at 1 inch and 2 inches, 1 inch, 2 inches, and the same way. So that's how I do my scoring. If you are cutting it at the same size, so if you're limited in the size of paper that you have available, say you wanted to preserve the whole extra, 2.5 inches that would come from cutting an 8 1/2 by 11 at 8 1/2 or to 8 1/2, what you would do is you would shift this paper in 1/16 of an inch before you do your scoring at 1 inch and 2 inches. And then you do the same on all of the sides. And what that's going to do is that's going to give you a total of 1/8 of an inch bigger for here. Okay, so you shift the paper in 1/16 of an inch, which is just, I don't know if you can see that there, but this is not a good, here. If I was to do this, I'll put that in here and show you. That is like that, and then if I shift it in 1/16 of an inch, I kind of just put it in the middle of this, and then I would score it down at 1 inch, okay? And then I would turn it, shift it in, and then score it at 1 and 2. All right, hope that is not too confusing. If it is confusing, do reach out and let me know, and I'll try to make it more clear on another video. And I'm having problems getting my scoreboard away. There we go. Okay, so I can put one more of, actually I'll just talk with you briefly about how I do the trimming. When I do the trimming, you want everywhere that the decorative paper is going to go to be straight edged. So when I'm trimming this, what I do is I cut it straight first, and then I just wedge out this little bottom thing here. And you'll see in the directions there, everything that is white or a light gray is to be removed, and everything in the instructions that is blue is to be kept, and it's usually marked whether it's tapered or not. And then everything in green would be the box front or the outside of the box that you could cover with decorative paper. So I always cut these ones that are closest to the decorative paper straight so that they have a straight edge, and then I taper all the other ones because they fit together nicely. So I go straight, taper that, and then I just do a taper, and then I turn and I taper that one like that, taper that one like that, then I turn, I taper that, then I come back to straight because I want this to be straight. So I cut it straight, and then I taper just this part of it, and then I taper this whole one here. And then I do the same thing here. I cut this straight, and then I taper off that a little bit, and taper off that a little bit, and then I cut this on a taper to here, cut that on a taper, and then that brings me back to what I already had here. Okay, that is all that I have for you today. Thank you so much for joining me to see how we are putting together these 4 1/4 by 4 1/2 inch boxes that are perfectly sized to make these little face claws that are handmade by June, and they're going over to women's shelters for Valentine's Day. I hope that you will join me again soon, and as I mentioned, please feel free to pop over to the Creative Treats community Facebook group, and you can download the PDF instructions for these boxes and a whole bunch of other boxes and cards over there. Talk to you later. Bye-bye.